If someone wants to make a better impression at their networking event this week, where should they start? Hello everyone, welcome to Adventures in Networking. I'm James West.
And I'm Kelly West, and we're the founders of ONLE Networking, the business network for people who like people.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the impression that you leave at networking. It's not about being the loudest in the room or saying the cleverest thing. Often it's something that people can't quite put their finger on, but they can feel it straight away.
Well, we're going to unpack what that something is, why people pick up on it, even on Zoom, and how small changes in how you show up can help you stand out for all the right reasons.
If you're watching this live, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. We can share them on the screen. We can talk about them. We can do all sorts of stuff. We've got any comments that spring to mind, please do leap in, but we've got a specific question for you that should hopefully in a second appear in the banner. What's the one positive quality you strive to bring to networking? We'd love to know that.
It's a good question.
Now, it is a good question. We're just going to mention our sponsor. They are also at the bottom of the screen. Apologies if you're watching the podcast. Bibby Financial Services and Foreign Exchange is what it says at the bottom of the screen. Thank you to those guys for sponsoring us. So like ONLE, Bibby is a family-run organisation. They also support businesses with a range of financial solutions, but unlike us, they've been doing it for more than 40 years, Kelly. You can learn more about how they could help your business at bibbyfinancialservices.com/only. That is also appearing in the ticker tape or in the description. So let's crack on, Kelly. We've noticed, haven't we, at networking in particular, there's a bit of fatigue around. It's been an odd few years. I think there's a lot of people that are getting frustrated that a lot of the things that they're trying in terms of marketing, getting themselves heard, falling on deaf ears. I think people bring some of that stress and distraction into networking, don't they? But if you think about it, because there is perhaps an energy of a little bit of negativity, it can be some of the fastest ways to make a good impression, can't it? To cut through that stuff. Why do you think people pick up on the vibe that you bring to networking so quickly?
It's first impression, isn't it? We're always going to judge somebody by how we see them within the first 10 seconds. So if somebody comes to you with a negative energy, negative presence, you're probably on a back foot straight away, aren't you? And I think particularly in the online space, I pick on people's energy very quickly. You know, I know who I want to have a one-to-one with within about 30 seconds of the meeting starting. People present, are they looking, you know, what's happening? And I think people underestimate the power that they could bring into that space if they were doing things in the right way. Energy is contagious. Like if somebody comes in and they're happy and they're bubbly, you want to be a bit more happy and bubbly despite the fact that you may not be having the best of days. Equally, somebody swears in a meeting, every other person swears in that meeting. So you do set the tone when you come and you show up in those spaces.
We think about, and perhaps some people don't think about this enough, how we look. So we think about backgrounds, and people put virtual backgrounds on, which can cause more problems than it solves. But you know, I think we're probably aware of how we look and how we sound. I mean, that's another thing, isn't it? Microphone. If your mic's really bad, it's really hard to have a conversation. But this energy piece, because I've kind of hesitated at making that too much of a theme of the show and putting it in the advertising for the show, because I think people think energy, that's all a bit sort of, that's an intangible. That's a little bit, you know, we're getting into the mystical intangibles. It's not though, is it? You can see it straight away.
You can see it straight away, and it's the thing that makes you stand out from the next person that does the same job as you. Like we're small fish in a big pond. I say this all the time. You might have, you know, I'm going to pick on IFAs. In networking, you meet lots of IFAs. But am I going to be drawn to the IFA with the good energy, the one that's listening to me, that one that does test his microphone to check that it's working properly and is paying attention to me, or am I going to go and talk to that one over there who's probably not paying any attention? You know, it does sound woo-woo, I guess. You know, is energy important in that space? But absolutely it is. It's one of the things that you have as a a factor that makes you stand out from the others. So yeah, absolutely, it's important.
I'm going to ask you about Zoom because this is a little preview of what we're going to be talking about only next month, actually, in our meetings, because Simon Raybold's already put a comment up on the screen. So Zoom can be a bit of an energy reducer, can't it, Kelly? Talk about what we've learned about Zoom.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think for me personally, I feel more comfortable in the Zoom space. I'm probably, I'm an open book anyway, you know, it doesn't matter if I meet you on Zoom or in person, you get what you see. But I do think as a general consensus, people who are comfortable in online networking are happy with Zoom wherever it is they go. It's almost a bit of a safety barrier. And I do think that we forget sometimes people can see us. we're not just sat in this little box and people not paying any attention to us. So if we're over here, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're getting up, we're moving around, we're turning our video off, where people see all that stuff. Like, you know, and that I think is what Simon is saying, is we have to crank our energy volumes up. Not that we have to become this ultra gregarious person that's shining through everything else, but we have to visibly accentuate the nods that we give people. Or if I'm writing, I might then sit back and show my pen so people can see that I'm not on my phone down here, I'm making notes. So I get what Simon's saying. We just need to be aware of the environment that we're in and utilize that to the best of our abilities.
If you drew a picture of what not to do, you know, the people that are on a second screen, or their microphone's bad, or their internet connection's bad, those are all practical factors, but then the energy you bring can either make that better or worse, can't it? And you know, you can have all the studio set up in the world, but if then you're bringing kind of a I'm here, I don't really believe in this, I'm not that interested in what other people have got to say, you're going to be on that's really hard to counter that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Simon's other comment there, you know, but you on a really good day. That's what you want people to see. And I don't know I can't remember where that come from, but I can remember it. Yeah, you, but on a good day. And, you know, we can get into the arguments of, oh, you should be able to be authentic and bring this. Yeah, of course. And that's why a good community, when you are in a good community and you've built those connections and those relationships, of course, be vulnerable and allow people to understand that maybe today's not a great day for me. But do you want people to see that on the first visit? Possibly not.
It's one of those rules of communication and human relationships, isn't it? That you have got absolutely a choice in how you show up and how you present yourself, and no one can tell you what to do or not what to do.
Yeah,
we certainly
right.
wouldn't ever tell people how to behave. Equally, the recipient of you, how you are interpreted, is entirely the choice of the person on the other side. So people will judge you, not judge you, that's too harsh.
Oh, no, they will.
They will judge you, but they will form an impression that happens at such a speed that you've got no choice in them making that picture of you very quickly.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
they don't
where
have a
you've
choice.
got they're going to do, their brains are going to do that automatically, aren't they? And that's where you've got a choice: is what do I want that to come across as? Do I want to be someone who's warm, listening, clearly here for other people, or do I want to look like, oh, here we go, here's another networking event?
Yeah, I mean, are you ticking a box, or are you going there to see what you can get from it? And that's the difference, isn't it? If you're going there to tick a box, that's fine. Have a face like a smacked whatever, you know, that's fine. But don't expect to get anything from it, you know. And again, if you are just box ticking exercises, maybe you don't want anything from it. But if you are going to achieve something, and like you said, a bit of fatigue, I think that happens over the summer naturally. I think most networking, certainly the 20 odd years I've been doing it, the summer's always a little bit more low-key for some, not me particularly, because I like to get ahead of the game. But you've got to step out of those patterns and those behaviours, in my opinion.
So one of the things I've noticed you do, because we're talking about subtle changes, aren't we?
Yeah.
If people want to do something about this, one of the things that I've noticed that you do is whenever you have a conversation with someone and they say inevitably, how are you? You'll go, I'm great. and there's like a real, I can hear how you look when you're saying it. You give a lot of good energy there. Why do you do that even when you're having a tough day?
It sets the tone straight away. People will mirror your energy. Okay, so even if I'm tired, even if I've had a bad day, even if it's the beginning of the school holidays, if you start with a positive response, it helps both of you, the three of you, however many are in that room, experience that from a positive space. 10 minutes into the call, when we start getting to know each other and we're having a conversation about the kids being off and juggling and yeah, okay, I might say, oh yeah, that's a bit tough. And I'm not being disingenuous in that space. I'm a little bit unusual, I know, aren't I? And I'm quite annoying. But if I wake up in the morning, I'm having a great day. Do you know what I mean? I'm here, I'm on this planet, off I go. And it doesn't really matter for me personally what I face. I'm having a great day. Right? It's going to take a lot to knock me off of that space. That's just the way I look at life. That's just the way I look at other things. And I want to be respectful enough to people that I meet to give them that positive energy, to show them that, things are great. Oh God, yeah, this has happened, that's happened, the other's happened. But I'm great. Honestly, I'm having a great day. Yeah, 10 minutes into the conversation, I might be tired. I might have had a late night. Stuff might have been going on. But the key to that is that a big deal? That's not a big deal. That's just stuff that happens to all of us, that goes through our lives, doesn't it? But if I'm having a conversation with you and I'm setting that off straight away, well, that's be positive.
I'm not the same as you. I don't have that like bounce out of bed kind of, I've got better. But I don't kind of have that as a kind of natural default. But I have learned over the years in a more practical way the difference. If you go into a one-to-one or a networking meeting and you're negative and I'm really busy, and if you give people the impression you haven't really got time for them or this, you don't tend to get very far, because again, you're making it you're creating an air of negativity around you, haven't you? So I think it's one of those instances where you do have to kind of, you have to kind of force yourself to be the best version of you, as Simon talked about. But what I found is when you do that, generally you do feel differently fairly quickly, because they'll respond positively. You'll have a bit of fun.
And it lifts you up, yeah.
Actually, that can make you feel better. So there's a kind of double whammy there, isn't there?
There's two people that spring to mind when we talk about this. One is Vanda Varga. So I learned that from Vanda. When you ask Vanda how she'll say, I'm excellent. And she means it. Like you can hear it. She is excellent because I'm here. I'm having a conversation with you. Why wouldn't I be excellent? Right? Doesn't matter what's gone on just now. I'm here now, so I'm being present. So that's something that stands out for me. And the other one is Keith Budden, who always says, negative talk will always take you to a negative space. Even now, it doesn't matter how bad you're feeling, right? Positive talk will always raise it slightly. Yeah, even if you're in depths of despair, being positive or trying to be positive will start to raise you out of that space. And that's two things that sit with me quite a lot.
Good point. Okay, so let's say you're listening to this and you're thinking, I've never really thought about how I come across and what my behaviors will lead to good or negative outcomes. What kind of things what's a quick checklist of things that people can say, try not to do this or pay attention to that? Yeah,
I think you're right. Obviously the aesthetics, what does your background look like? What are you wearing? I mean, I'm a prime example for that today because I look like I don't have a top on. So I've made a wardrobe error there because I've got colour that's too close to my skin tone. But, I'm joking. But in all seriousness, you want to look nice.
If you're listening to this on the podcast, I can, what mental image have you got right now? You can go and watch on YouTube.
Go watch on YouTube. Yeah, I am.
It's not as bad as she's made.
No.
I shouldn't say that. It's really bad.
Yeah, apologies. Well, I'm making a point, aren't I? Because what you don't want is, I don't want somebody that I'm talking, particularly if I've got my hair over here like this, I don't want the person that I've just met for the first time talking to me for the first minute wondering whether I'm sat here with a top on or not. I want them to be present in the conversation. So we're joking, but also it is a good point. So what do you look like? What does your background look like? It doesn't have to be immaculate. course it doesn't. But are you comfortable with it? As long as you're comfortable with it, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But I think outside of that, it's being present. It's taking this conversation as a one-off for that day. So regardless of what else has been going on or happening, just take yourself out of that and be present in that space and see where that conversation takes you. Because yeah, you're right, sometimes you can go into a call and you've got all this baggage with you and it takes a nosedive, but it's trying to leave it at the Zoom door, isn't it? And go, right, that's okay, that'll be there when I come back, let me just have a conversation. And like you just sort of said just now, very often when that happens, you come back out and you are in a better place because you'll have had a nice conversation with someone.
Yeah, definitely. There was something else that I was thinking in terms of the impression. I can't think what it is now. We'll have to move on.
Come back to
what
it.
else can people check? What can people check in themselves? So the energy and the intent that they bring,
Sound.
how they look, how they sound, whether their hair's brushing their microphone, hint, hint. But these are, you will notice a difference. That was the point that I was going to make. That expression, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression.
Yeah.
It is true, but I do think there's a bit of a reset that goes on, particularly in networking, because we've seen examples of people that did struggle in the beginning. Because let's face it, let's paint a very stereotypical picture. Most people go networking for the first time, rabbit in the headlights. They don't really understand what they're trying to do. They think it's just about pitching and people are going to give them business, right? That's the stereotype. And then over time you learn, well, you've got to give before you're going to receive. What energy are you bringing? What are you asking for? You kind of get more comfortable and you can evolve. And we've seen people that did really struggle in the beginning. Either they brought negative energy or they weren't really engaged in the conversations, and they've changed. And therefore, every time they build a new picture of themselves at networking, don't they? So if you've been someone that, well, I go along, but I don't really get that involved, and I'm maybe doing an email in the background, just if you want to get a better result, spend 6 months being more focused, concentrating on listening to others. You will change people's impression of you. Is that fair?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I've been on a ONLE meeting this morning. It was fantastic. There's loads of stuff going on. But if you're the person that's commenting to what people are saying in the chat box and you're adding, you know, a little bit more of a layer to things that are being said and you're being present in the room and people are asking for stuff and you unmute yourself to say, oh, yeah, I can help you with that. I'll drop you a message later. You're being involved. Being involved is the key, isn't it? We can all sit there for 60, 90 minutes and just pay half an eye on what's going on and work in the background, but you will miss stuff, and that's pointless. We're all going to have times where we need to do that because, you know, the situation arises, but I do think that just turn everything else off and pay attention, you'll gain so much more from it as a result. You really will.
There's an opportunity, isn't there? People at all networking events, there will be a variation of the ask for something. So you get a chance to ask for something specific, and we hammer the point. Don't just ask for clients, ask for something tangible, a specific person or business type, or an event or something like that. But I think people forget that listening to other people asking for things is another opportunity for you to make a really good impression, because the people that are in the chat or unmuting and saying, oh, I could help you with that, or tell me more about that, or I've got someone I could connect you to, they are the people that create that networking energy that means they tend to receive, as opposed to the people that just go, well, I've asked for that, I didn't get it, but I haven't done anything to show others that I'm trying to help.
Really, really easy to help people at networking. I'm leaving it there. It's really easy to help people at networking. Just listen.
Yeah. And go on. You got to elaborate on that. Why is it easy to help people at networking? Because a lot of people think,
everybody's looking for something different.
Okay.
It might be a like on a post. It might be a follow on a social media account. It might be a connection. It might be a bit of advice on something I'm working on at the moment. It might be I just want to have a one-to-one to get to know people. Like there are 5 or 6 examples. If you've got a room of 25 people, there's going to be 25 different things needed in that room. And it's not all going to be connections. Really easy to help people in networking, but you have to listen.
That point about social media, we still hear this all the time, particularly for people that are new to networking, because they think, well, what's an easy thing that I can ask for? Oh, I'm trying to build my Instagram following. Or I'm trying to get more likes on my LinkedIn post. Just a very quick picture to paint here. Who do you think is going to make the best impression at networking if you're a newcomer to a network, right? 2 examples. Someone who goes to the networking event, asks for more support on their LinkedIn, right? As opposed to the person that doesn't ask that, takes the attendance sheet, connects with everyone they've met on that meeting on LinkedIn, and puts a meaningful comment on every person's post that they met at that networking event. Who's making the best impression?
Who's going to get the most followers back as a result of that as well?
Because it ain't going to be the person that just asked for help. Like you've been given license to go and help other people and support them. We'll go and do it. I shouldn't say you're wasting your breath, but you kind of are wasting your breath, because you're asking a bunch of strangers to support you when you've not done anything to support them. And unfortunately, that's human nature, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Totally agree.
So how does that, the header I've written here, the paradox give to get? We found this over the years. It seems counterintuitive. The more you give at networking, the more you receive, which is the hard one to people to wrap their head around. And it also doesn't feel particularly in keeping with the current culture of press a button, use AI, just get me to the result as quick as possible. I haven't got time for all this like meaningless conversation stuff. But going back to the making a good impression and having an impact and getting help, how does it change your energy if you go networking with an attitude of, I'm going to see who I can help today?
You'll enjoy it a lot more. Pressure will be off automatically, because you're not going there to sell, you're going there to help. You will pay more attention because you have to. You know your stuff inside out, back to front. And if you're just waiting to say your bit and then get back on with your emails, you're not going to give a good impression. But if you're there to genuinely help people, you've got to pay attention. You've got to listen. You've got to look out for, somebody else may have already answered that in the chat box. You don't then need to help. You've got to be there. You've got to be present with it. I also think you need to, and I've said this to a lot of people recently, you need to broaden that, what a network does for you and what you gain from a network. So you talk about this, James, about it being a mutually beneficial relationship. That's not just between 2 people. That's between you and your network as a whole, as a community. So take ONLE, for example. I might give you business, James. I might go, right, here you go. I've got a client perfect for you. Here's an introduction. They're pretty much a given. Off you go. If I sit there waiting for you to give me that back in return, I'm going to get annoyed with myself, aren't I? Potentially, because you might not be in the space to be able to do that in return. But Joe Bloggs, who's in the same group as you and hears me talking to you, giving you referrals and doing all of that stuff, who's listening to me and understanding me and getting to know me, might give me a referral or an opportunity as a result of that. I might then not be in a position to give Joe Bloggs a referral back, but I might give it to Joanna over there, whoever that might be. It's not just about a 2-way relationship. Networking and community build is about what you put into the community and what you receive from the community, not just in relationships that are 2-way.
Yeah, people will, I think, the energy piece, people, there's a kind of karmatic aspect to this, isn't there? That if you help 20 people won't automatically help you back. No, it doesn't. Well, that's what you're saying, isn't it? But one person of that 20 might do so much for you that it completely makes up for all the time you've put in helping the other 20. Like, that's real. That happens all the time at networking, because it's often one person that opens a door that then gets you into a completely different room, and suddenly you get 10 clients off the back of that one introduction.
Exactly. We've had examples of this. Oh, gosh, loads. Are you trying to tell me to get rid of my hair? Okay, that's what that was. Which is weird because there's no hair that side, and that's where the mic is. But I'm just saying, it might be down
here. You're making it up then.
It may be. I hold it away like this. We've had examples like this throughout the years, as I'm saying, and I think a big one that stands out for me would be a good friend of ours now, Richard. So I met Richard in another network before ONLE sort of existed. It was very early days, and he came and he became a member of ONLE. We got to know each other very well. We moved on to a different role and left the network, but we stayed friends, and we stayed, we kept in contact with each other. And you and I drove 2 hours to do a talk to some of his clients, didn't we? Just because we really liked him. Why did we like him? He had a wonderful energy. He was definitely on our wavelength, and he was somebody we really enjoyed being around. And when he asked us to do this gig for him, we weren't getting paid. Didn't matter. We thought that'd be a nice thing to do. We'll go and do it. He's probably the person that has referred us the most monetary value of work ever by quite some considerable amount. Have I ever given him business in return? No, never. And I probably won't, because it's not in my space. It's not something that I come across. Do I talk about him all the time? Of course I do. He's fantastic. The business is great. Am I likely to find him his ideal client? One day, possibly, and I'll keep trying, but he doesn't expect that back, and that's what a good networker does.
And that's a good reminder for us, because there's a litany of examples of times where we have helped people and put ourselves out and got nothing back, and you can end up feeling like, oh, why did I bother doing that?
It's frustrating, isn't it?
If you bring that energy, good things will come back to you, because on a practical level, people will respond better to you. They want to talk. People want to talk to people that are interested in helping them. They don't want to be pitched at. But then I do think there is a kind of deeper, energetic, slightly woo-woo, karma that comes with doing that stuff that does come back to you.
Yeah, there's the karma tokens, like you said. Yeah.
Let's just mention our wonderful sponsors again, Bibby Financial Services. So if you don't know those guys, they are one of the UK's largest independent SME funders, part of a long-established family business. They've been helping businesses improve cash flow, refinance and trade internationally for more than 40 years, and they are rated excellent on Trustpilot.
So to learn more, call 0808 501 6622 or visit bibbyfinancialservices.com/only.
Excellent. Okay, so let's just, while we start to wrap up the show, let's make this a bit practical. If someone wants to make a better impression at their networking event this week, where should they start?
Preparation.
Yes, go on.
Preparation. Okay, we're all busy. We all live in a noisy world, but we've all got one of these, and we can all get access to a pen, or we can all make digital notes, okay? If you go in to a meeting at 1 minute past it starting, you're on a back foot. You've already made an impression, okay? Get there 5 minutes early. We all have things we can do, emails, whatever it might be, for 5 minutes while we're sat waiting for a meeting to start. I promise you, if you get there early and you're prepared, you will make such a better first impression, or impression if it's people you know already. You'll be relaxed. You will automatically, your shoulders will be lower. You'll be in position. You'll know that your camera's in the right place and that your speakers are working properly, because you would have been there 5 minutes and you'll have had a chance to test it. Like, I cannot stress enough what a missed opportunity it is, even getting there 2 minutes early. Okay, grab a drink, get yourself settled. So that for me would be the biggest thing in terms of practical preparation. But also, we give an attendance sheet. Have a look and see who's going to be at the meeting. Like, connect with them on LinkedIn beforehand. I get probably 3 or 4 people a year do that. Reach out to me and say, I'm just looking at the attendance list and I'm looking forward to meeting you tomorrow. I know who those people are because they've bothered to reach out to me in advance of the meeting. Again, it's preparation. It's putting a nice impression forward of yourself.
Just on that note, as an aside, but there's also, I wonder how many as a percentage of people then connect on LinkedIn or any other social media after the meeting. It's not that many, is it? 20% maybe?
It could be a lot better, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we hammer this home, don't we? I think if you're not doing that, unless you don't use LinkedIn, I don't know why you'd have it if you're not going to bother doing stuff like that. Unless you genuinely really don't want to connect to someone. that's what it's there for. It's like networker's best friend, isn't it? So they are simple things that you can do to get involved. And I think also your ask, like if you don't know what you're asking for, either don't bother, it's pointless, ask next month when you've got something, or just spend a couple of minutes because you're there early, having a look at the attendance sheet to see who's there, thinking about who you could connect with. So it might be you've got the A to Z list of who's going to be there, and there's a couple of people on there that you'd actually really like to have a one-to-one with. Fantastic. Well, that's your ask sorted for the day, isn't it? So it's all about the prep working, getting ready for the meetings is what I would say.
Well, we'll before we move on, we'll talk about the tone and intention. But before that, I just want to share this comment from Tanya, because she has answered the question. She's new to ONLE. I'm just going to read this out for people on the podcast, and she's learning all the time. One positive thing I strive to bring to networking is curiosity. As you say, listen, but also ask questions and show genuine interest. Gold star. Like that might sound overtly obvious and twee, but there's two things there. So many people don't do that. They are just going to networking to see what they can get, and they just see people as either a prospect or a potential help. But they're not really that interested. And if you are curious about people, it just opens every door, doesn't it, Kelly?
It really does. And honestly, Tanya, round of applause. She's put a little winky face on there. But James is right, like 10 out of 10 for that. You've asked a question on here, like however many people are watching this now, you've got your name out in front of them. It's really simple little things like this, just getting involved in the conversation. Like that's what helps your name stand out and people begin to remember you. Like excellent, absolutely excellent. I look forward to us having a proper chat. But Tanya is right, curiosity, like we sort of talked about this earlier. You have to read the room. You have to understand when a question is appropriate or not. You know, I am somebody who is very much heart on the sleeve. I share too much. I am nosy, and I do wander down pathways that sometimes people are not comfortable going down. So I stop. Right? Nothing, you know, outrageous. But I like to get to know people. I like to get to know the person behind the job title, and I can talk about all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. But I do know if somebody's not up for that conversation. Do you know what I mean? So it's all about reading the room, isn't it? And making sure that you're understanding who you're talking to and checking that that conversation is comfortable for both of you. Yeah, good point.
It's that B&I phrase, isn't it? Know, like, and trust. And people use that quite flippantly, I think, without really thinking what that means. I think people think it means I need to understand what someone's business is and that they are a serious business person. What I think the piece that they're missing is I really need to get to know that person, because we do not refer people if we don't know them. And sometimes for certain people, they like to keep business on a reasonably formal level. And like you're saying, Kelly, read the room. Some people, you can build a great relationship that's in a more traditionally business orientated way. Other people, get to know them as a person. You know, what else are they interested in? It's why having something in your background is quite interesting, because if people aren't interested, they won't say. But if they are interested, you can get into conversations about Formula One or Lego or whatever it might be. And that can be some really good icebreakers, can't it?
It makes you stand out, doesn't it? Hans has done it. She's just put in the chat. Great session. Oh, Michael's done it as well. Thank you, Kenny and James. Great session. Again, thank you, guys. You're getting involved. You're having a conversation. People can see you here. You know, have a conversation. You're all ONLE members. Like, have a conversation with each other. Relationships are not built on one conversation alone. They're not built on 100. There's a reason we see the same people at networking all the time. If you're not in front of people, when they do have a need to refer to you, they've forgotten you because you're over there somewhere. Do you know what I mean? That's a big mistake that people make. Like, I've been in a network for a long time. I'm seeing the same people. I'm off. I'm going over there. But while you're over there, they've started to recognise and see somebody different that does the thing that you do, and they're referring to them instead. So, you know, this is all really sort of low-hanging fruit stuff. You don't need to change who you are. You don't need to be a different person. You just need to tweak the way you come across. Chris Wilson was talking the other day about always showing your hands when you're on Zoom. Apparently, if you show your hands more, we trust better. Great for me, because I do this all the time. I'm always waving my hands around. But there are little things like that we can play into that will establish better relationships and move those conversations forward.
We've got a comment here. Uma, thank you. Talking about, I'm trying to improve networking and how to carry and continue a conversation. I think of relevant topics like future career goals and the type of conversations like guidance. Is that good? How do I further hold it and make it better? That's a question about
great question.
What kind of conversation should I be having at networking? And I think you're right. I mean, I sometimes think it doesn't matter what the question is, whether it's those questions are particularly business focused questions. And I've never met anyone that doesn't like talking about their business or their goals. So yeah, definitely go with that. I think the key is, as Kelly's kind of alluded to, knowing how much do we just keep talking about business as opposed to let's get to know the person, because we are, we're not fully defined by our business activities, are we, Kelly? Any thoughts?
No, yeah, and a great question, a really great question, a really easy one to kind of unpick some of that stuff that you're saying, James, without it being too obvious, is to ask somebody how they got to where they are now.
Yeah.
What did they do before, or was this something that they'd always wanted to do? Have they always been in this industry? Where did they start their career? Because when people go back to stuff previously, they then normally draw in a little bit more personal stuff as well. And that tends to be where you find out that you've got sharing a love of the same films or music, or you like Lego, all of that stuff, because they go back through their history and they'll bring more personal stuff in. So you can pull little strands of conversations out from that as well. So definitely having a bank of questions if it's something you struggle with, and those are the basics, aren't they? If you start with work, having a few that you can say, well, how did you get to this point? You can ask about family is another good one. Holidays is a good one. Oh, so when you're not working, do you like to travel? What sort of things do you like to do? Again, really kind of low key. It's not going to offend people that don't want to go down that route, but you'll understand very quickly whether somebody is happy to stray into that topic of conversation or not.
There's something in between that's a little bit more practical. The key question to ask everyone that you meet in networking is, how can I help you?
How can I help you? Yeah.
Like, what is it that you're looking for at the moment? Is there anyone I can connect you with? As long as you ask that question, going back to Uma's points about asking about career goals, or what you've got to be careful is that you're not just trying to prompt questions to get you to a sales opportunity. Because I think there's a lot of, confusion between prospecting at networking, which is, I just talk to people, I ask them about the business until we get to a point where I can position a solution to them.
Yeah.
And you've got to be careful that that's absolutely fine, because not everyone wants to be your best friend. Not everyone's going to want to talk about films or hobbies, and I'm completely fine with that. But it's important that there's what there isn't is a formula for how to run a prospecting conversation at networking. What you've got to do in order to get to prospects via networking is show people that you're there to help, not just to gather some leads. So I'm not picking on what you're saying there, because that's probably not what you're suggesting. No. But we do see that a lot, don't we, Kelly, that people, they're just looking for the shortcut to get to the sales conversation, and you have to abandon that, get to know the person, ask how you can help, and then you can almost be quite open about it and say, look, I'd love to tell you what I do. It might be relevant to you. You might be a buyer, but if not, you might know people that want to buy. But you haven't earned the right to have that conversation until you've shown people that you're willing to help them first.
Absolutely. And, I would 100% say very rare I speak to somebody and I don't have a connection for them. But I'll always ask, how can I help you? And then they'll tell me and I'll make a note. And then it's up to me whether I decide whether or not that's something I want to do later if I've got on with that person. And that's lovely, ladies, Tanya and Hansa. And we're really pleased to have you guys here too, because for us it is all about relationship build, and for us that's the way networking stands the test of time. You might not get stuff instantly; it might take you a couple of years, but you might get some of your best, supporters, cheerleaders for your business along that period of time. And who knows what else a community can bring you. It doesn't have to just be ONLE, wherever you go. But for us, that's what we're really passionate about, isn't it? But I think just going back to that point again quickly, you forget selling when you're having a one-to-one, right? Let's take the icky bit away. You're not selling at each other in a one-to-one. You're informing each other of what it is you do. Yeah. So if I'm in a one-to-one with James, I'll tell him what I do for business. I'll explain what it's all about. I might go through the pricing structure. I might, go through all the details. I'm not trying to sell it to him. I'm trying to give him the information so that when he's out and about and he comes across people that might be in my space and need my services, he'll think, oh, yeah, Kelly talked about that. I can pass her an introduction. People get worried that they're going to get backed into a sales corner, and I think try and take that away, because as James said, it's just an information session. But at the end of that information, so how can I help you then? How can I help you? What can I do for you? And that is your opportunity to be specific.
Great point. There's a good comment there from Tanya. We humans are adept at recognizing sincerity and seeing straight through insincerity. And again, I think that doesn't mean that it's a weak play in terms of sales, because as Kelly has described, if you have a one-to-one with someone and you've built the credit and you've gained enough of their respect that you can tell them, this is the breakdown of my services, this is who it's for, this is what I'm looking for. What you are potentially doing is tapping into their ability to refer you to the 150 people that they know.
Yeah.
So it's not weak. It's not, oh yeah, but I want to get in and sell, and if that person's not going to buy from me, I'll move on to the next one, which is, that is a legitimate way to sell. But networking takes longer. But in each conversation, when you're a good networker, you are putting your product and service in front of 150 people per conversation. For me, that is a lot more powerful than just going prospect, speak to you, next, and it's also a lot less demoralizing, I would argue.
Yeah, it is. It very much is. And I think, just a little bit of a tangent, but just to give another sort of working example of this, moving from the business to the person and how powerful that is. This morning, again, prime example, you had a one-to-one with someone, you were talking about music. I came downstairs into the office and you were playing a radio station. You said, oh, that's the person I was talking to, radio station. What, they got a radio station? Yeah, how brilliant is that? We have a little conversation about it. And then we go, oh, you want to introduce them to so-and-so because they sing in that genre of music. Oh, yeah, we'll do that. Oh, actually, they're playing in Hackney in a couple of weeks' time. Maybe we should go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, so-and-so, another member said they're going. Great, that'll be an opportunity to meet them. Like, that's networking. There's no business that's been passed in that space. But I tell you what, if I turn up at an event to a member who's singing with other members that are there, there's going to be a big connection there, isn't there? There's going to be,
go with that. Why are you censoring these names as well, Maritza and Emma?
Because they might not want to know this. They might not want people to know all of this stuff. But again, Maritza and Emma. Yeah, we need to connect them. They're in the music space. But how this is the point, unless you get to know the person. So what we're looking at in job titles, HR and marketing. That's what we're looking at in job titles. Whereas from the other side of it, we're looking at radio station and the singer. That's got to be a good combination, hasn't it?
That brings us full circle to why energy is important, because you mentioned always making connections. You'll always connect one person to at least one other person. And most of the time, that's not because you're thinking strategically. You're going to be a buyer or a referrer. You just think you're going to get along, because if two business people get along, they don't have to really have that much overlap, but they will typically strive to help each other.
Well, and as if
human nature.
And as if by magic, the wonderful Richard Hyron, who's put a comment in the chat box there, and Hansa said, when's the gig? Let's all go. Definitely. We'll tell you, Hansa. Sorry, going back to Richard, he sent me a voice note the other day to say, I've been having a chat with this person, explained it all. There is a connection there, Kelly, not from a work perspective, but from personal life. Would you be happy for me to connect you? Because I think it'd be a really worthwhile conversation. Absolutely, Richard. I trust you. You've become a really good friend. Yep, connect me. Me and said person are having a one-to-one as a result. So think outside the box. Think outside the box when it comes to the networking space and how you can connect to people. And if it's from a personal space, yeah, you might want to check with that person before, if you don't know them that well, or you just want to double check because it might be sensitive. Absolutely do so. But yeah, a perfect example, and well done, Richard.
And in answer to his comment about, I wonder if the people that go to networking just to try and sell, how successful they are. I don't think they stick to it. I think they'll fight, because you can do that on LinkedIn. You could just sit here all day and just send messages to people speculatively. And if you know your proposition and you're good at breaking through, you'll probably get some business. But that's not how selling at networking works. Never has, never will do. It's about arming people. Well, Chris Mansfield doesn't he? Talks about creating your own sales force within your network of people that know you, trust you, and will refer you on to all of the people that they know when appropriate. That is a very powerful way to sell your business. But all the comments have come at the end, Kelly.
I know, it's great,
I don't
isn't
know
it?
what's happened.
Yeah.
We need to wrap up, but we have covered a lot of ground. This has become a kind of pseudo how to do networking sales. So it would be remiss of us not to mention the fact that we got a course for this. It's called the Online Business Networking course. There's not going to be any confusion about what that does, is it? But it's a self-paced online course that you can do. It's £99 as well, and it's myself and Kelly. Tons of content. There's a workbook in there. You can get £20 off of it if you use the code podcast20. I'll put in I won't do it now, but we'll share the link to it. But you can just search for the Online Business Networking course. Oh, look, it's just appeared as if by magic. Thanks, Izzy. Marvelous. In the chat. So if you want £20 off that course, please do grab that code. Well, Kelly, anything else?
No, it's been a great conversation, and thank you to everybody that's got involved, because we really do appreciate that.
Makes us feel less lonely.
It does, doesn't it?
Not that we're ever lonely, but no, we really appreciate you all being here. So thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, watching. This has been Adventures in Networking. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with someone that needs to hear it.
And another big thank you to Bibby Financial Services. We'll see you all again next time. Take care.